Hello, it's me, Andy, from Blitz Gaming. Hope you're all having a great day. It's lovely in the UK at this moment in time. Today's video, if you remember the beginning of the year, we tested 12th gen with the budget boards H610s from Asus, Gigabyte and ASRock. Today's video is going to be about testing them boards with the 13th gen, 13600K. And we're going to use our test bed reference board, the Z690 gaming from Gigabyte, to get the maximum benchmark, and then we can obviously use the budget boards to see where they come out and how well they perform. On top of that, we're going to be testing the B660s boards. Now prices have come down. I think some of the B660s are now worth buying. Okay, they're not going to be as cheap as like £85, £95, yeah, but some of the boards on H series are still like £120, and it's like, okay, if I spend an extra £30, I can get a good B660 motherboard. So we've got the Prime B660 MKD4, so it's basically a slightly updated version of the H610, more PCI lanes. That's about it really. It doesn't come with any more features besides overclocking capability. And then we got the Asus Tough Plus board and the Mag B60M mortar. All DDR4. It seems like no one wants to do DDR5 boards no more. I mean, I list them, but no one actually seems to sell them. Unless you buy a Z board where they've got plenty of DDR5. But I was hoping to get a B660 DDR5 board as well, so I can see, okay, is there a big difference between DDR5 and DDR4? Unfortunately, couldn't get my hands on one. So yeah, we'll be doing Cinebench as normal, Blender and 3D Mark PC profile benchmark. Because we're only testing the CPU, not doing graphic card, we're just doing the CPU, taking the CPU to its maximum, see what the VRMs come out, if they overheat, how well the CPU performs, and obviously how well the benchmark goes. And we just see basically how well overall the budget boards, even the budget version of the B6060 does versus the Z690. Thing. You've got to remember the Z690 high of it, it's not an expensive Z690 board. So this may even be, what I've looked on the net, is close to what everyone else is getting on basic benchmarks. So that's a good board to go by as a reference. Okay, I'll get on with the benchmarking and I'll see you at the end and we discuss what all went out or come out. A quick reminder of the setup. So we've got 16 gigs of Corsair DDR4, 3200 MHz memory, Western Digital 500 gig SN 550 NVM, Aliani Lee 240 all-in-one cooler because we know it gets hot, and a corner master 500 watt PSU. And the boards, the Asus H610M, Gigabyte H610M, S2H, ASRock H610M, HDV/M2. Then we've got Asus B660 KD4, Asus Tough Gaming Plus D4, MSI B60 mortar, and the top of the range one, the Gigabyte Z690 Gaming X for the reference test. Okay, a quick look at the chipset, the difference between as they go up. Basically, the higher the number, the faster they get. And from the 660 onwards, you can overclock the memory. And if you go to the Z series, the memory and the CPU as well. So you get more PCI lanes as well. So if you've obviously got a lot of stuff, M2s and all that sort of stuff, yeah, you also want to go to B660 or the Z series. Now you note there it says for H610. It only has PCI Express 3, but it does have the DMI 4, which is the equivalent. So your graphics card will still be using, in theory, PCI Express 4. It's just got a different name to it. And yeah, you can see here, obviously you get a lot more features, a lot more USB and all sorts of stuff as you go up. Ideally, the B660 in the middle it's probably the best rounder. If you want to spend around 150, 160 pounds, they get enough performance to run your processor, and enough if you want to maybe get USB-C thrown in, and a few other tweaks. Look at the motherboards. Again, I've done an unboxing of this one already, so I should put a link up now. So basically, it's got PCI Express 4, dual M2s, a gigabit Ethernet, and too many outputs at the back, which you don't really need, and 6 SATAs. Things like AuraSync and all the addressable headers, I think they should be scrapped on budget boards, because you just want it cheap as possible, with all the functions what's required, like PCI Express and all that stuff. And here's a quick reference design if you want to know what the layout looks like. Okay, let's move on. Again, we got this board already done an unboxing of, so you can check the video. I should put it on the screen now. It's basically the same setup as Asus, except this one doesn't come with a heatsink, a small heatsink on the left hand side. Otherwise, they're very, very similar to each other. And here's a quick reference design of the motherboard layout. Again, that has rock board, another 6-phase design. I call this the M2 because they actually make a version without any M2s, which I just thought was really bizarre. And they give you like 8 SATA ports instead. Yeah, I can't imagine buying a motherboard today without any M2 sockets. And a quick shot of the motherboard reference design. Again, we've got one of those silly sockets on here, VGA socket. Why in today, I don't know. Okay, Intel's B660, or say Asus Prime B660 KD4. Yes, it's got a few extra features over the last one, but we talked about really on PCI lanes and the power to overclock your memory. So yeah, basically otherwise nothing else. I think this is an 8-phase design, not a 6-phase, but it doesn't state anywhere, so I'm not 100% sure. And a quick reference design of the motherboard. Again, we've only got 2 sockets on this one, not 4 as most of the B60s have, but then this is the budget version, it only comes with 2. Asus Tough, not a bad board, got some nice colours, but black and orange go well together. According to the chart there, DDR4 5333, so it has plenty of overclocking potential, and PCI 4 empty slots times 2. A lovely big 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. Not bad at all, with USB-C out the back. Not bad. It says there a 10+1 phase design. This board also comes with dual power sockets for the CPU, which is a bit odd because it's only got a, says Dr. Moss is only a 10+1 phase design, not a 16 like the Z boards. So yeah, it's a bit bizarre, that one. It does have PCI Express 5 support, mind you, which is not bad. Not that we've got anything in the PCI Express 5 range at this moment in time. So there you got quick reference design of the motherboard, 4 DDR sockets. I think it goes up to 128 gig if you plan to buy 128 gig. But to be honest, if I was going to want a board with that sort of memory, I'll be doing lots of calculation, work, and obviously I'll go Z board again because you've got the PCI Express lanes. The MSI B66M Mortar DDR5 version. Again, I did try to get DDR5 version to go as well, but can't get hold of one anywhere. I do this in Wi-Fi as well. The Wi-Fi comes as like an aluminium silvery colour. I'm not sure why this version comes black. I've been quite happy to have its silvery colour. It does stand out. There's a nice big chunky heatsink on the chipset. Both M2s have got heat sinks as well, and yes, we've also got 4 DDR sockets. Again, I think it goes up to 128 gig. And also this board also supports an extra 4-pin for power requirement. Not that you need to plug it in, but it's there if you want to overclock. This board also comes with a 12+1+1 phase design. Yeah, so it's 2 more phases over the Asus TUF. So yeah, there we are, and there's a quick reference of the motherboard. So this is the Z board, the Gigabyte Z690 Gaming X, where we take the reference scores from, and obviously temperature, and so on against the others. This is a 16+1+2 phase design, and this particular version has 60 amps. Now the Aorus line usually go between 60 to 100 amps, depends what version you buy. So you've got the Elite, the Master, Pro, and so and so. Yeah, they give you more and more power for more and more overclocking. But for us, we're quite happy to leave it as is and run from there. So a quick layout of the board. Yeah, it's got all the features you'd want. Again, this is like the bottom of the range for a Z board. And yes, there'll be loads more features, more glowies, more ampage, more phase designs, and whatever. You don't know, they come with so many things now, can't keep up with them, but they also come with a big price tag. So yeah, we got there, again, 2.5 gigabyte LAN, we got 4 M2s under the big wacky heatsink, or 3 under the heatsink, and then 1 on its own above the PCI Express socket. So yeah, can't complain. At the end of the day, again, all the references come from this board just to compare against the others. Okay, let's get on with the benchmarking. Okay, room temperature was between 17 and 19 C when we done all this. And the chipset on all the boards roughly went between 35 and 50 at the worst state scenario. Now looking at the top left VRM, you can see the Z690 was well lowest into the 30s. Then the B660s, basically about 10 degrees higher. But again, a lot lower than obviously if you look at this, the H610 series. It's a bit of a disaster really when it comes to the temperature on the VRMs. The Gigabyte done well in the 80s. You think, well, the ASWAT's done well. Yeah, but the ASWAT didn't run. If you look at the scores in a couple of minutes, you see why. But Asus, well, they were right up to 100 odd C, going back and forwards every 3 or 4 seconds. Down, up, down, up, down, up. I mean, it was a bit of a nightmare really for Asus. At the top VRM, okay, Gigabyte just stayed under the 100, but everyone else went over the 100 barrier. Again, it don't go well at all. The 3500, the 3600K, you just don't want to run on H series boards. Again, a Z board in the 30s and a B series gain, just 10 degrees higher. So yeah, the more money you pay, the lot better cooler board you get. Again, as I said in the past, you shouldn't run high processors. And the 13600 being in the middle of the range, now it's got 20 cores. It's too high for a budget motherboard. Look at the CPU packaging. Basically, the CPU is running around 72C. And on the budget boards, it was dropping right down, back up again, down, up again. Again, if it goes with the VRMs and the wattage, when we look at the wattage next, you can see it going down, up on the budget boards, and this is the reason why they haven't got a very good score, which we'll have a look at in a second. Now if we look at the power draw at the wall, if you look at the free or the include the B6060 budget ball from ASUS, you can see the wattage is, as I said earlier, up and down constantly. Basically stop the VRMs from blowing a fuse. They're basically every 3 seconds, 4 seconds, cuts right back down to the 100 watts and straight back up to the 200 watts, back and forth, just to try to keep it going. And it's a massive throttling job, which really destroys the scores at the end of the day. MSI on their Motherboard. Now I remember I tested their Bazooka board, the 5th generation, last year. Had the same problem, used more energy than any other board, and its score overall still doesn't come out any higher than everybody else. Some odd reason they just like bunging lots of wattage through it on their series of boards, but trying to keep the scores high, but it doesn't really solve a problem. Because you look at the Asus Tough and the Z ball from Gigabyte, they're like 50 watts lower, and the scores, say there's not a lot in it at the end of the day for the three boards overall. Again, you can see there on the cores, on the 4 low end boards, again going down to 349, all the way up to 588 megahertz, back and forwards, constantly. It just shows you how the balls are reacting. And obviously when you look at the 3 top balls, they just stayed at 588, or the Z series went up to 5.1 and just stayed there constantly for the 10-minute run we done on the test. Now these balls are tested for been running for an hour before we even get into the testing stage. As I said earlier, if you look at the ASRock, it's got the lowest score, 17,000. Now if you go over to, you can boost the basic clock up speed and put the dual 2.0 turned on. You get about an extra 1,000 benchmarks. You could try and go higher, but I don't think you'll make any difference. Because obviously the VRMs itself can't handle it. So yeah, a lame score 17,000, and even on the others 19,000. They're literally 4,000 points short of the Z series and the B series. The Z series I've actually had up to 24,000 total. So I think according on the net, the basic scores are around 24.5. So, but I didn't tweak the Z board, I just run it straight out of the box. As that, where the other ones I put on auto optimizations to get running as best score as possible. So yeah, again, it shows you there putting the Intel i5 13600K in a budget board is a waste of time. You're losing so much speed out of the process. You may as well buy the 12th gen, 12100, 12400. I mean, I can't remember the benchmarks off by heart without me looking up my own scores. Let's see how they compare. But 4,000 benchmarks off the standard scores, that's a hell of a lot to pay out, and you don't get the speed. It's pointless, absolute pointless. Just to know, if you do have the ASRock ball and you still want to put a 13.6 in, you won't get the thermal throttling. It will set itself up to the speed, the lowest speed, and it will just stay there constantly. It won't go up and down, up and down, up and down, which is one good thing. It doesn't give you a headache with the fan going back and forwards. Okay, now we have Blender. This one's different from Cinebench. Cinebench runs for 10 minutes. So it ran like for full throttle for 3 minutes before it cut all the cores down, caused the VRMs get too hot unless you're on the Z board or the B boards. Where Blender runs for a maximum of 1.5 to 2 minutes at full speed. That's why you get different. That's why the results are very similar to each other. Except obviously the ASRock, where we've seen before, is just a slow board. Yeah, if you look at the wattage for the package and overall wattage at the wall. They're running out these three, very similar to each other, except the Asus Tough, which banged out an extra 30 watts or so. But yeah, but the score wise, all very similar at the end of the day, except as where I've said before on the Cine bench, it's just a slow board at the end of the day. So the Gigabyte won by 1 point. Now, obviously, if this test went on longer, that Gigabyte board and the other boards will not be that high. The Z board will be followed by the Tough or the MSI board. But why it only goes on for a maximum of 2 minutes, the boards are not getting hot enough to throttle back. Don't forget, I'm also using an all-in-one. If you wonder why, how comes the CPU's got low temperature? Because we've got an all-in-one to keep it down. 3D Mark CPU profile. Scores again very similar, except for the ASRock board. So yeah, temperature wise again similar, and wattage wise similar, except for the Gaming X that uses more power, but it's got a lot more VRMs. It does have the best score, but not by a massive margin. But yeah, fine really. The overall score we got is the overall score of the profile. It's not like the CPU score or the graphic card score. It's the overall on the left hand side. So basically it comes down to what we buy. As I said earlier, basically don't put the i5 13600K in these boards unless you're going to buy a good B board, as I got on there, the Tough, Water, or a Z series motherboard, because you're going to be wasting your money overall. Okay, let's come to a conclusion. Okay, at this moment in time, it's Black Friday. The 13600K, the cheapest place I can see in the UK, is £330. So being Black Friday, it may go up by tomorrow. No idea. I think when I purchased it, it was basically that price, so I don't think there'd be much difference, to be honest with you. I know it's Black Friday, but I don't think they've really changed the price at all. But yeah, it's not a bad processor. Can't complain. It's got plenty of cores. 14 cores in total, so 6 performance cores and 8 efficient cores, and capable of 20 threads. So far it's been okay. I am doing a lot of gaming tests now, running 20 games. Let's see how it works with games, see if it has the same problems as the 12th series running games. But otherwise, so far it looks promising as a processor. Don't forget, I'm running with an all-in-one 240 rad. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why the CPU is down. Now I may get an air cooler. I might try it on one of our budget coolers, like the Cooler Master 212 Black Edition, or I might get an improved version, the next one up, which is about £80. And see how much of difference it is between air cooler and all-in-one, because obviously all-in-ones are expensive and they obviously don't last forever because they do leak and pumps break and all sorts of stuff, where an air cooler won't have that problem. So yeah, as I said earlier, don't put this with a budget board. It's a waste of time. If you're going to buy a budget board, then go back to 12th gen, or even now, AMD's processors on AM4 are now really gone down in price. Go back to AMD. At the end of the day, you may be better off there on the budget price. Now AM4 has really gone down on the cheap end. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video and it gives you some sort of insight into purchasing a 13600K. What should you buy? Again, there was a big difference between boards. We're talking about £85 on the budget, going up to the Z board we have here is £220 or £225. So basically, yeah, if you're going to go over the £200 mark, you might as well buy a Z board because you're going to get all the PCI Express lanes under the sun, way better cooling, way better phase VRMs, and probably a lot more features as well. And you've got to remember, this is not a micro board, it is a full size ATX board. So yeah, you are getting more benefits overall. So yeah, again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't done so. And all the subscribers I've got so far, thank you very much. And I'll see you in the next video.